Today we're here with Ashley from My Urban Invites. So can you tell us what do you do and how did you get started?
Well, My Urban Invites is a graphic design company located in Houston, Texas. We specialize in wedding invitations with the concept of event branding. And we opened our doors in 2009 with the idea of custom invitations for everybody. And since then, we've expanded our original collection to include a ready-made album line for our budget-savvy couples that they can choose to customize.
So can you go into more detail of how the process is and from beginning to end?
So when we first get contacted by a customer, we kind of start to explain our two types of consultations that we have, our event branding, more custom line, and our ready-made album line. And once we know which consultation that they would work best in, we schedule that for them. We meet with them usually about an hour to 2 hours long. We try to kind of dig deep into their story so that we can really learn a lot about their personal styles so we can incorporate them and their personalities into the stationery. And then once we begin the design process, we try as best as we can to make that very personal and smooth for our customers. And once everything's been approved, we do produce a lot of our invitations in-house with a sharp eye for detail and really high quality standards.
So what makes you different so that brides can choose you?
I think one of the biggest things that makes us unique and different is the style of the work that we do. It's apparent when you're looking at pictures of our friendly competitors here in the area, it's apparent that our design and our style is very different, and that makes us all pretty unique, I think, in a way. Just the combination of the graphics that we create and the fonts that we put together, even the sizes of the fonts that we choose, and the paper arrangements and combinations really kind of make a big difference from person to person, and that's what sets us apart.
So with everything online these days, brides are wanting to send evites. So what are some pros and cons about that?
I think there's a big misconception out there these days that, going online for invitations or even sending out digital save the dates may help you save money on your wedding. This could actually not be the case, though, because when you do go online to find a cheap, cute wedding invitation that works for your style, you're losing out on a professional there to help guide you. That professional is going to be keeping an eye out for all of the things that do and can go wrong with your wedding invitation, and they're also going to be there to help you with all of the etiquette rules. There's so many rules that if you're, planning your first wedding, you're not going to know. Even with research and trying to look online, there's a lot of stuff that's not out there. And if you do happen to overlook something, or there's maybe a typo, or maybe when you get your online invitation, it looks nothing like what you thought it was going to look like. Those kinds of things can happen and actually make it more costly for you to maybe have to reprint them, or it could be an embarrassing thing that you have to send out with, spotty printing, or there's a number of things that can happen. So if you do hire a professional there, that person is going to be looking out for you and making sure that everything is what it's supposed to be, and that you're happy with what you've been given as your product.
So if a bride was to ask you, how can I have a great event, what would you say?
Oh, that's a good one. I think that having a great event really depends on a lot of different factors, but as far as stationery goes, pick a monogram and a font combination that you love so that when you unleash it with your save the dates, you don't decide halfway through the process that you change your mind and you want a new monogram and font combination for your invitations, because the cohesiveness of everything really does a lot to bring an event together and to make sure that it doesn't look like a collection of Pinterest photos that you saw.
Right.
So make sure you like it and stick to it.
So do you have any tips for brides out there?
Yes, I probably have a lot of these, so stop me if I keep going on and on. As far as stationery tips go, I think a big one has to do with RSVP cards. Society these days makes it really difficult for brides to collect RSVPs. I may have been guilty of this in the past before too, but a lot of younger folks out there, they don't understand all of the etiquette that surrounds weddings and stationery specifically. So there's usually a line with an M in front of it that they don't understand what means, and they will usually tend to leave that blank unless it says names on there. The M stands for the start of your title, Mr., Mrs., and the guests are supposed to include their name on that line. Sometimes they don't understand that and they will leave it blank, which leaves the couple kind of at a loss of, well, do we call our entire guest list or do we just, add an extra seat or two for this mystery person? So we do actually manage RSVPs for people who just don't want to deal with any of that stress, and we commonly will see names left blank. The great tip for this is to include on the back side of your RSVP a small number written in invisible ink or pencil that if they do happen to come back with no names, you can kind of correlate that to your Excel list of everyone and you'll know who that was without having to call all of your guests to find out. So that's a really easy, helpful RSVP tip. Another thing is wedding websites. We love wedding websites. It's not something that you want to include on your actual wedding invitation, but if you start on this early on, like with your save the dates, for example, you can include a lot of extra details for your guests without having to clutter up and take away from the beauty of your invitations. I guess the biggest tip that I want to stress is do not wait too long. Everybody nowadays is rush, which doesn't allow us enough time to fully let them experience our design and allow us to create something that really represents our newlyweds. So if there's less time, there's more room for error because everyone's going quickly through the proofing process, and there is about a million things that can go wrong with that. So and also, if something does go wrong, there's no time to fix it. So waiting until the last minute or waiting until it's way too late is probably the biggest tip I can give you to make a nice difference in the stress that you have and your whole experience with your wedding planning process. So know your timelines, start early, and you should be smooth sailing after that.
So thank you for joining us today, and how can brides reach you?
You can reach My Urban Invites by calling us at 832-732-9848, by email at creative@myurbaninvites.com. We're also located off of 290 and 610 area, and you can find us online, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat.
Wow, Ashley, those were some great tips. Stay tuned for more videos on our YouTube channel. This is Marianne with Bridal Extravaganza.